Kelly Khumalo has been dropped from the upcoming Tribute to Women Festival which was set to take place over the weekend. This comes after court testimony by a state witness linking Khumalo to one of the accused in the Senzo Meyiwa Murder Trial. Last week, the state's fourth witness, Colonel Lambertus Steyn, testified that he had established that Khumalo was in a relationship with Meyiwa at the time of his death, and Sifisokuhle Nkani Ntuli, one of the accused, had made contact on 2 occasions. For more on this, we bring in brand reputation specialist Tshepo Matseba. Tshepo, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. I'm just looking at what the rationale would have been for the organizers to drop Kelly Khumalo from this event. Why would they take such a stand, also considering that this is an incident that happened back in 2014 already, and for as far along as that incident took place, Kelly Khumalo has been linked to the murder, although, of course, she hasn't been found guilty of it. However, though, she was in the house when the incident took place.
Yeah, thank you, Aldrin, and thank you to the viewers. The key issue here is not about if you are an organizer or a brand, the key issue is not about necessarily the facts, but the perceptions around surrounding a specific person. And if it's a performer, in this specific instance, the perceptions may lead to negative connotations being associated with the event. And that's the kind of how markets perform, in that perceptions drive markets and not necessarily the facts. So they're not necessarily interested in the legal aspects of the case, but rather what conversations about the case may do or how it may impact their event and their brands. And you can imagine with such a very sensitive case that dragged on for so many years, many South Africans are not very happy. And as a result, this may impact the event in the form of ticket sales, but also in the form of negative sentiment when Twitter begins to speak, when different social media platforms begin to pick up and create negative trends and associate those trends. But also as a brand or as an organizer of an event, you may be also concerned about being perceived to be tone deaf when someone has lost their lives and the case has been seemingly bungled for so many years, and then there were people in a room in a particular house, and perceptions that those people may actually know what transpired and that they should proactively speak up. That lack of speaking up, may create an impression that as an organizer, when you fund or when you associate yourself with an individual or individuals who may be implicated or who are supposed to testify or provide information, that may lead to ticket sales dropping, where some people may choose not to participate and others may choose to actually just simply take a negative stance. So the organizers are probably just taking a precautionary measure to ensure that their event becomes a success without being associated with the case.
Could they also not then suffer reputational damage from this particular decision from the fans of Kelly Khumalo, the ones who would have actually bought the tickets because Kelly Khumalo was on the lineup?
Yes, the implications are on both sides. You will remember that Kanye West, actually, when he made those sentiments, and Adidas, the brand, if I may mention them, they lost at least in recent times, at least more than 250 million euros as a result. And they are now beginning to try and sell some of the sneakers that he left behind. So the impact goes on both sides. The impact may well be that the organizers may suffer some ticket sales from those who are pro this specific artist, but also on the reverse side, they may suffer impact of conversations where they may be seen to be taking sides on a matter that has not been concluded and a matter that is sitting in the courts. But as I say, perceptions do drive markets and not necessarily legal facts or legal instruments. And where we're at the moment with a specific case is that as an organizer, you are probably taking a precautionary measure to ensure that you are not associated necessarily with the contents of the case. And remember, the case is currently at a sensitive stage where cell phone numbers are being linked to specific individuals. And then in this instance, some conversations allegations being linked to Ms. Khumalo herself. And in this instance, it's reasonable, I think, for a brand or an organization to say, but maybe we should take a precautionary stance. However, that doesn't mean that they may not suffer the consequences of losing support from those that support Kelly Khumalo.
And those consequences, could they include a claim from some of the people who have already bought the tickets under the pretense that Kelly Khumalo would be performing at the festival, and now that this decision has been taken, they no longer want to go to the festival? Can they claim against the organizers and ask for reimbursement?
Look, in an ordinary consumer environment where you have a product in store and you go and buy a product, one would be, in terms of the Consumer Protection Act or the consumer legislation in South Africa, one would be entitled to say, you promised me one item, but you sold me another. But I'm not sure about the event and the terms and conditions, but I believe that those terms and conditions would apply, and it would be very reasonable for those who purchase the ticket to actually say, but hang on a second, a brand is a promise fulfilled, and in this instance, you promised me one item that has 10 artists, and now you removed one of the main anchors, the main performers, and therefore the validity of the claim would be really accurate to say, well, you know, I'm no longer interested in this specific event because the key anchor that I was looking forward to seeing perform is no longer participating, and therefore claim. And we've seen many, many events around the world and here in South Africa where people have actually gone to claim tickets where the event either didn't take place or where specific acts didn't show up for event. In fact, in this industry of music, artists are often popular for not showing up at performances, and tickets have to be reimbursed.
Yeah. And a final one is on this, and it's not limited, of course, to Kelly Khumalo. It is a big conversation that's happening globally as well, and that is whether we are able to separate the music from the individual. I know that this discussion also came up with R. Kelly when he was facing his criminal case against the sexual favors that he was asking from teenagers, as well as sexually grooming them as well. Those were the allegations, and during the trial as well, a big debate was whether you are able to separate the artist from the work that they do, and this being music. Some radio stations also took a stance against R. Kelly and decided not to flight his music. How do you think we can go about that balance? Because at the end of the day, it is also about the reputation of the platform that would be playing that music.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult one when the case is still underway. When processes are still underway, it's not going to be practical for a musical platform or a broadcaster to say, well, we are not going to play the music unless they can demonstrate, even though they are a private entity, unless they can demonstrate that there are facts to back up their withdrawal. It wouldn't make sense at this specific point in time. I think for individuals and private individuals like myself, music is a special issue. But if somebody is accused of killing someone, and if they are found guilty, I doubt that I would want to play their music in my household. But if someone is accused and they are not, the case is still underway, I also think that it would be unfair to tell anyone to stop playing the music or to boycott or ban the music. But in the law of public opinion, the likelihood is that you are going to have those who support the music and continue to stream and buy where they can. And then you are going to find a group of people who say, but hang on a second, you have a lot of allegations around you, and therefore we are going to step away from your music for now until such a time that you are proven otherwise.
Thank you so much for your time. Tshepo Matseba there, who is a brand reputation manager. Thank you so much for your time.